just try the smallest version of the idea out that has the intentionality of what you want. We wanted to bring the community together and we wanted to get across the country.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast with Brad as my guest.
Who is here?
Have we actually done it where you're my guest?
Maybe. I mean, I've been on a couple of episodes where we've had like a group with some guests, but like, has it just been you and I on
no, I don't think
pod
so.
episode? Maybe this is, I'm making a debut, people.
All right, so here's the deal. We actually have to like do this as if I was introducing the episode.
Okay.
So that there can be an ad break.
All right, go ahead.
Hey guys, so today's episode is going to be a little different because, yes, as you heard, Brad's on the show and we're going to be talking a bit about the tour. And I thought it'd be really fun for us to actually take you back in the history of like how the OPC tours started, why we do them, and just have some talk about the tour this week because we're coming up on our 8th tour.
I can't believe it's been 8. That's like mind-blowing, actually.
We're crazy people.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit.
Okay. So, Brad, do you remember when we did the first tour? Do you remember how the idea came to be?
I do remember how the idea came to be. So you and I were in a coaching group and there was another couple in the group who had written a book. They were very excited about this book and they wanted to go around the cities and do a book tour launch / hosting workshops while they were effectively selling their book.
Yeah. And we were like, well, how can we go on a book tour? Because I mean, yes, I have a book, but I didn't want to like go on a tour about the book. I was like, that doesn't really, I don't know that that's something I could do all the time. But we're like, what if I like, how can I go on a tour? And then because you were a touring musician.
Right. As soon as I heard them say that and we started talking, I was like, bing, we could just teach Pilates classes as we drive around on a tour.
Yeah.
Like, hello. And so also, obvious. Why did we not think of it before?
So we need to go back a year before that, Brad. So the only reason we actually thought we could do a tour in 2019 was because in 2018, I put my feet in the sand and said, I'm not flying home for the holidays. I said, I'm not doing it. I love your family, but I can't do another flight. We've already done 150,000 miles of flying. I've been everywhere and I hate flying at Christmas time. And also for some reason, guys, LAX to Philly is almost impossible to find a nonstop flight. It's almost impossible to find a nonstop flight from Las Vegas to Philly. And so you have to fly red eyes, which is annoying because it's 4.5 hours, not 6 hours. So you're not getting any sleep. And then you land there and it's 11 a.m. somehow. And you're like, how?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You land at 7. By the time you get back to the house, it's 10:30. Yeah. I mean, it's
annoying.
Not great.
So anyways, also the last time we flew in 2017, I did finally fall asleep. And then of course the lights come on and they're like, is there a doctor on the plane? And I was just like, if they land this plane, if someone is not, of course I want people to live. I'm not an asshole, but also I was finally asleep. So anyways, because we had done a cross country tour, Trip.
Yeah, we just rented a car
in a tiny car. It was very
thought,
small.
Let's just go east, basically.
Yeah.
And we didn't have an agenda other than we just had a couple of friends along the way that we were interested in seeing and saying hi to, and that was it.
Just kind of based on like how many hours we thought like, together we could drive, and okay, that gets us here at night. And we have friends in St. Louis. Okay, we can go here. So we have this tiny little car with the 2 dogs. And we drove.
Yeah, we rented an SUV, but I was like, SUV. I don't need like a huge Tahoe or Chevy Suburban or anything. We could just get a regular SUV. It was so small, y'all.
I don't know how they can call it an SUV. You guys, it was like, no, this is not an SUV. If you put a family of 5 in there, you couldn't have put groceries in the car. Like it was so small. But anyways, it was just the 2 of us and the 2 dogs. And when we were on this trip, I was like posting on Instagram, and this is before you really used Instagram for business, but I was posting like, oh, we're here, and people are like, oh, are you teaching here? And I was like, oh, people want us to teach here. I didn't know people would want a class during the holidays. So this had happened in 2018.
That's right.
Then fast forward to October of 2019.
Yeah.
And we are hearing this and we're like, well, how can we do? So we knew
kind of had we'd been prompted by our members from OPC, but that didn't actually turn into like, we're going to do this tour thing next year until this other couple was talking about their book launch. You're right. So that was like the second step to push us really to make it happen.
And because we knew we could do the drive.
Right. Because we just done it the previous year and we drove both ways.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah. So we actually did the posters on the wall. I should have grabbed it for the visual. Oh. But we did like 8 or 9 cities, actually. We did
on the very first
we did
tour.
Las Vegas.
So that was 2019.
We did Las Vegas, Denver. We did.
Did we do St. Louis?
I don't know that we did St. Louis. We did Libertyville. So we did outside of Chicago.
We went to Libertyville.
And then we
That's
did
right.
like some other ville. Which was outside of Cleveland, but not Cleveland.
Yeah, it was close to Cleveland though.
And then we did Lehigh Valley.
Right. Yeah, it was basically Bethlehem.
And then we did Nashville. And then we did Atlanta.
Oh, we did Nashville?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was huge. Like 30 people.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so, and people are like, even Nashville. You guys are not, like, ever since then, not such a great follow-up. You guys are not great. Love you. Want to go. Trust me. We want to do Nashville. Then we did Atlanta, and then we did Austin.
Yeah.
And then we did Phoenix.
Jeez, I don't even know how you remember these things.
And then I know. And then and then I don't know that we considered it part of the tour, although very much was. It was in January. We did Redlands. And then the world shut down. And then, so our first tour.
We did Scottsdale was the last stop.
Yeah. We did this really cool place in Scottsdale. It was so fun.
So I actually just pulled up the list. You nailed it. Vegas to Denver to Chicago, which is Libertyville, to Cleveland, which is Strongsville, your second ville.
I said it was another ville.
I'm so impressed. Then Lehigh Valley, which is Bethlehem. And then Nashville, Austin, and Scottsdale. Yeah. I'm impressed.
And then there was like this little post-tour stop in Redlands, which was not part of the tour. We added it in after the fact. But it was so fun. And it was like the true diehards. The people who know the band before they make it to Coachella.
Scottsdale was insane to me that people even came out. It was like negative 4 million degrees out, and we had an outdoor venue.
It was New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve at an outdoor venue.
We literally had it was like every 3 mats there was a space heater, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's so cold! We're doing Pilates outside on January 1st. What are we doing?"
We all got warm enough, and it was super fun, and it was so great.
It was so fun,
and it was sold out. It was such a great spot, and people came from Canada there. It was just like crazy. So at any rate, it was so much fun, and we knew we wanted to do it again. But then, of course, the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
But here's what got to happen, guys. So the pandemic happened. Brad and I still drove across the U.S., but
I'm looking at the ticket sales. We had 133 tickets sold on the first tour.
On the first tour. Yeah. But we did that with a Tahoe, by the way.
What, the second tour?
After the first. We rented a Tahoe for the first tour. We rented a Tahoe.
2019. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because we knew that the tiny little SUV wasn't going to cut it.
Yeah.
Especially because we were bringing like stuff, and it was going to be a little more of a robust tour. So we rented a Tahoe, and that was fine-ish. It wasn't ideal though, because like there was no real. Yes, you could lay down in the back seat. We had this. The middle seat was laid flat, but like, it wasn't comfortable.
No.
Trying to sleep in the passenger seat sucks. Like,
and we also, you guys, because we're going to places where we had clients, it wasn't necessarily places where we had friends. And so we were getting hotels. We had a hotel in Denver. We stayed in like the financial district.
I forgot we did.
In Libertyville, we did stay at the host's like basement, but Gaia had an accident. And we were like, oh my God, we can't stay in people's houses because Gaia's old. At any rate, it was really fun, and we like did it, but then with the pandemic, we obviously couldn't do it again. But what we did do during the year of 2020 was we actually bought the van. And because we knew we wanted a tour vehicle, and thank God we bought it, even though we weren't going on tour that year, because they wanted to pay us what we paid for that van. Like people were like clamoring to get that van off our hands. But we got the van. You guys, we took it across the country in less than 48 hours. We drove from Las Vegas.
It was 55 on the way home.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
55 hours solid.
Yes.
From Philadelphia to Vegas.
But on the way there, I don't think that van ever really stopped it, because we tried to sleep in Vail on a mattress on the metal base of this cargo van.
So here's what this looks like. We buy a cargo van. A cargo van is an empty box on wheels, okay?
Yes.
And we bought the longest and the tallest. So it's 23 feet long. It's 9 and change tall.
And we bought it and we drove the next day.
It's a big empty box.
We loaded it up. We have pictures of you in this empty box.
The only thing that we did was throw things on the floor. There was nothing else in there. We literally had a mattress with 6 blankets on it, right? And then we had boxes and suitcases.
Everything had to be tied to the walls.
We took our, this is so fun. We raided our own laundry room because in the laundry room, we have one of those wheelie situations where you could throw your dirty laundry, but then you could hang clean laundry up at the top. So I took that out of the laundry room and I zip tied it to the wall of the van, bungee corded it to the wall of the van. And that became like, how did we do our clothes? You know, so like that was our closet.
It was crazy because then we were driving back with all these boxes. I just felt like everything was going to fly on us. Anyways, so Erica Quest, shout out to Erica Quest. She had a dream about us the night we were sleeping in Vail because we're in the Walmart parking lot of Vail. So we pull into this Walmart parking lot in Vail and I'm in the bed, went into the 6 blankets. We got the 3 dogs. You're into the blankets. It's great. It's actually fine because like we blasted the heat. Everything's fine.
I mean, it was cold, like cold in your face, but it was like the mummy bags when you went camping as a kid.
Yeah. So great. So anyways, we're halfway through the night, I'm sleeping so good. And then August stands up to turn around in the bed and he basically just twists all the blankets off of us. And in that instant, you and I both were awake.
I was so angry. Because I had just gone to sleep. It was midnight when I pulled in. And then I was literally asleep for 2 hours. And then he pulled all the blankets off of all of us by twirling around. And I was so frustrated about it. And it was 8 degrees out. And I was like, screw it. We're just going to continue to drive to Denver.
Erica Quest had a dream that night that we were cold. She had a dream that we were really cold. And I said, well, you don't have to worry because Brad drove us to Denver where it was a little bit warmer.
It was 30 degrees in Denver. Yeah, so much warmer.
So much more tolerable to sleep in. At any rate, we like got across the country and people were like, oh, I wish you were doing the tour. And it's like, yeah, well, it's COVID. It's very unsafe. Cannot do it. But we were able to plan how much driving is possible. What do we want to do? And how we want to do this? So then we did in 2021.
Weren't we supposed... Oh, that was 21.
Yeah. So then in 2021, we were vaccinated. We were ready. We planned this whole tour, but we planned a small one. It was actually, I don't even think it was as big as our first one because...
No, it was only like
7 cities or something like that. Because I think our first stop was going to be
It was Philly, New York.
Yeah.
Like city.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Miami.
Yeah.
Dallas. We were talking about Providence, but we postponed it.
Yeah.
So it was only 5.
It was really small. And we actually had to cancel Philly and New York City because along the route, I was exposed to COVID. I didn't know that I had it. And thankfully someone texted me and everything was going crazy at the time that variant came up. So we still did the tour. It was just quite small. The Southern tour happened. And
we had way more time at my parents' house than we normally do.
We had a lot of time. It was super fun, but we knew we're like we want these tours to be a thing. And I want to share this with you because in your Beit It Till You See It way of doing things, this is how long goals can take.
2018 was our first cross-country drive.
2019 was the first tour. We
2020 was canceled.
2021 was already going to be a smaller tour.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic.
It was 5 stops max.
And by the way, every stop we picked were like huge spaces. That's why they were picked.
We intentionally picked large rooms.
Huge spaces. The Philly one was like softball, baseball, indoor practice arena. It was like 3,000 square feet. I only
started vaccinating people a couple months prior.
No, this summer. We got vaccinated in April.
Oh, it was the summer. Yeah. You're right. 6 months.
But there was the booster and then there was the thing. So anyways, because it was the holidays, we wanted to be conscientious. We want to make sure people felt safe. So we're like, these studios are massive and we're only filling half the spaces. So at any rate, we really kind of got sidelined on that first half of that tour, but we got to do it. We got to do the second half and we got to do Miami, Atlanta, and Dallas.
Yeah.
But then we were able to meet up with Balanced Body in the March of the next year. We could tell them we were doing, got to get them really excited. And that's when we actually got to start to make our tours even bigger and better and add the summer tour.
So that was tour number 4.
Tour number 4 was our first summer tour. Was the first
with Balanced Body. That was the first summer tour. And we've been telling Balanced Body about these tours from the beginning.
October of 2019, I told them what we were doing. And Ken and Al were like, oh, can you put a reformer in that van? Anyways, all this to say, this was like years in the making. And next episode, we'll actually go into a bit about like why we work with a sponsor, what our tours have like become. because they are bigger. They used to be like 2 weeks long, 8 cities, 5 cities, and then they became 14 and 18 and 22. And now we're getting like 800 people to come and some amazing things. I want to wrap this up with some beit action items because I think that that's what's really important. So you'll do some, Brad, I'll do some.
Sure.
I never get to do it, but I'm buying you time because I didn't prepare you for this. One of the best things I could say is take a note of when those little things go, oh, I want to do something like that. Even if you're like, wow, that's crazy. Why would I even think of that idea? It's such a crazy idea. Pay attention to those crazy nudges and then make it something that's possible to do now. Because a lot of people come with an idea, oh, I'm going to go on a book tour and I'm going to have sponsors. I'm going to have this and I'm going to have this. We literally had like 2 prizes. We had no sponsors.
Yeah, I think you might have got called toe socks
I called toe socks and Carbon 38.
Yeah, and we just said, hey, can you give us some socks?
Yeah. Yeah, to
that was the whole thing. We want to do a giveaway.
We didn't have any paid sponsors. We didn't have local vendors coming through. We did not make anything
we
bigger.
Also didn't even know that was what we should turn into.
Correct.
It was more like, initially it was an excuse to not fly and drive across the country. And then it grew and
I think the beit action
tour
item
became more complex.
I think the beit action item is like, don't overcomplicate something. Yeah. Just try the smallest version of the idea out that has the intentionality of what you want. We wanted to bring the community together and we wanted to get across the country.
Yeah.
And the original tours basically paid for the gas.
They, not even exaggerating, they paid for the gas and the one hotel we stayed at. Initially, that was the vision.
Yeah.
It was literally like, how do we pay for gas? Oh, let's teach a class. Great. We made $200. All right.
How do we make sure the holiday trip is a write-off? Let's work a few you technically just work 50% of the trip and then it's a write-off. So make sure you talk to your accountant. But anyways, so my beit action is do the least complex version of the idea and see if you like it.
Yeah.
Because each time we did the tour, we had to get from like Philly to Nashville in a night. That was insane.
Yeah,
we're like, we're never doing that again.
Like Texarkana or some weird thing.
And we had 12 hours to get from Nashville to there.
We drove 14 hours in one day.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah, that was brutal because we had to teach. So we learned by making it not complex, we actually got to learn a lot more. That's really helped us. You'll hear about how the tours have changed. What's your beit action item?
Okay. So my beit action item, with that, I was going to say take messy action, but I mean, we're pretty famous for that. I think that persistency, like we didn't know the studio owners that we were trying to teach at.
No.
It wasn't like we were calling our friends in random cities and being like, hey, can we teach there? We started just reaching out to people and saying, here's what our idea is. Is this of interest to you? And it was because we were persistent that we even found a location. Because I remember it was like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess this is the wrong location. No problem. We'll find another. Because for us, we knew, okay, this is the right stop. This is approximately when we would want to be stopping, driving for the day, when we should be teaching somewhere near here. How do we find a spot? And working backwards, there's some logic there, but also we still have to find the people. We still have to meet the people. And then we have to be creative with the marketing. I remember at first we were like, we don't know anybody in Libertyville, Ohio. How can we, connect with people? Strongsville, Ohio. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. And I remember we started using Instagram hashtags.
Yeah.
To just hunt down Pilates people in the area and just leaving them voice notes.
Yes, that was we were very persistent. You're correct. Very persistent. And then I think just to tack onto that, and then we'll wrap this up because we'll tell you more on the next episode, not being afraid of rejection. One of the things we had to do was like, you're going to have stops turn you away. Like, no, I don't want to do that. We had people go, why are you doing that? They were like really sketchy about us.
We just had it happen yesterday with our 8th tour coming up where someone, was like, actually, this is the wrong time of the year for my clients. So no, it was like, oh, yeah, okay.
It's not personal.
Yeah.
All right, loves. Well, stay tuned for how these tours have gotten to be bigger and even better. Woo. And better for you and better for my sleep and all those things in our next episode. Until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at beitpod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.